बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम अस्सलाम वालेकुम वरहमतुल्लाहि वबरकातुहू। नाजरीन, मैं हूँ आपका मेज़बान उसामा कादिर खान और आप सबको खुशामदीद कहता हूँ इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस ऑफ मेडिकल एजुकेशन के इंट्रोडक्टरी प्रोग्राम में। नाजरीन, फ्रॉम स्टोन एज टू मेटल एज, फ्रॉम मेटल एज टू द एज ऑफ डिस्कवरी एंड इन्वेंशन टिल द एज ऑफ साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी, द करंट ईरा, हमने बहुत तरक्की भी की टेक्नोलॉजी में, साइंस में, फलसफे में। बट जैसे जैसे हम तरक्की करते गए वैसे ही हर ईरा में हमने एक इशू को भी फेस किया, एक चैलेंज को भी फेस किया, एक प्रॉब्लम को भी फेस किया। लेकिन सिंस वो अगर एक रेशियो निकाला जाए तो वी रियलाइज कि हेल्थ एक इस किस्म का चैलेंज है जो हमें हर ईरा में फेस करना पड़ा। इन्हीं मॉडर्न ईरा की हेल्थ चैलेंजेस को काउंटर करने के लिए, टैकल करने के लिए वी नीड बेटर मेडिकल स्पेशलिस्ट, वी नीड बेटर मेडिकल इंस्टीट्यूशंस एंड वी नीड बेटर मेडिकल एजुकेशन। और इन्हीं मकासद पर एक सीरीज ऑफ इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस मुनक्किद की गई। देयर इज इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस ऑफ मेडिकल एजुकेशन। रादर देन मी गिविंग एन एक्सप्लेनेशन कि ये क्या है, इसके ऑब्जेक्टिव्स क्या हैं, इसके मकासद क्या हैं, आई वुड लाइक आवर मोस्ट respectable guest to give the answer to this question. We have with us today Professor Masood Anwer, qualified and practiced as hematologist in Armed Forces of Pakistan. He is founder of Bone Marrow Transplant Program in public sector in Pakistan. He joined Riphah International University as Principal Islamic International Medical College and Dean Faculty of Health and Medical Sciences. और उनके साथ तशरीफ़ फरमा है प्रोफेसर रेहान अहमद खान, असिस्टेंट डीन मेडिकल एजुकेशन एंड प्रोफेसर ऑफ सर्जरी एंड हेल्थ प्रोफेशंस एजुकेशन एट इस्लामिक इंटरनेशनल मेडिकल कॉलेज रिफा इंटरनेशनल यूनिवर्सिटी, एंड प्रोफेसर रहीला यास्मीन, डायरेक्टर MHPE रिफा प्रोग्राम, Professor of Medical Education, Director Faculty Development Committee and Associate Director Riphah Academy of Research and Education, Faculty of Health and Medical Sciences, Riphah International University, Pakistan. Thank you so much for joining us. Professor Anwer साहब, ये बताइएगा कि history of ICME, whenever we talk about International Conference of Medical Education, एक सवाल आता है कि इसकी हिस्ट्री क्या है और ये किस हद तक सक्सेसफुल है, अगर फैक्ट्स एंड फिगर्स के साथ इफ यू में।
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। मैं थोड़ा सा इसके ज़्यादा बैकग्राउंड में जाऊंगा। मेडिकल एजुकेशन हैज़ बीन ए चैलेंज all over the world since ages. Almost about 100 years, little more than 100 years ago, there were plenty of medical institutions in North America, and they were all having their own parameters, and the product which was coming out of those medical schools, that was not of the same quality which could be competed. So there was actually one gentleman with the name of Flexner was appointed to investigate the causes of the disparities in the educational system for medicine in North America, and he compiled a huge report which is very commonly known as Flexner's report, and in that he highlighted that what were the problems. The major problem which he identified at that time was that there is a very big disparity among the institutions between the caliber of faculty, between the curriculum which they were teaching, between the facilities which they were using to teach medical education, and with the net result that the outcome was entirely different in different institutions. And that necessitated the reforms, and the reforms were initiated in North America, and finally they were completed. This was followed by reforms in Europe and in the medical educational system, and the Europe has also completed almost the reforms which they wanted to do. Unfortunately, in developing countries, we have almost lost 100 years in this process, and there was no initiative being taken in Pakistan. Coming to this point, I have been working in Armed Forces Institute of Cardiology with the founder of the Islamic International Medical College and the Riphah International University. At that time, we used to discuss that what are the drawbacks in the medical educational system, and he was of the opinion that somebody has to come up with a model institution which can practice appropriate medicine and can lead the country in that particular field. So what happened was, when he retired from the armed forces, he established Islamic International Medical College Trust, under which Islamic International Medical College was established, and that was back in 1996. Since the vision was there to reform the medical education in the country, so the trust has been working towards that since then. It's a very long journey. A little later, that is about 2002, the medical trust, the International Islamic Medical College, was not transformed, but I will say that a university was created out of it, which is known as now Riphah International University, and it has its own merit in our country. That was back in 2002. Riphah International University established Riphah Academy for Research and Education in 2006, and the primary aim of this academy was to promote reforms in education, not only in medical education, but education as a whole, and to promote the culture of research in Riphah faculty as well as in the country. Looking at that, since we had a very well established medical college and the vision was to transform primarily the medical education, so RARE, which we briefly call Riphah Academy for Research and Education, concentrated on reforming medical education. We started working on a new curriculum which was based on integrated system rather than the subject-wise, which normally is practiced in other medical colleges. And then we implemented this in our medical college. But at that time we realized that how much resistance one can face from the faculty which is tuned to old-fashioned teaching and old-fashioned examination system. It was a terrible journey, but with all our courage and our teamwork, we stood behind it and we continued with it. But this was not the only our medical college which had to undergo reform. We thought that it is good to promote this objective throughout the country, rather throughout the developing world, particularly in the medical colleges in countries which are Muslim Ummah. So in 2006, in 2009, RARE took an initiative and organized the first international conference on medical education in Pakistan. It was a very successful conference. I must appreciate that the government at that time, which was a PPP government, I remember, and Yusuf Reza Gilani was the Prime Minister, they gave full patronage and support, including the Higher Education Commission and Pakistan Medical and Dental Council, to this conference. And the conference was a very big success. It was actually organized in Convention Center, Islamabad. And the product of that conference was that for the first time, Pakistan Medical and Dental Council also realized that medical education itself is also a specialty in the field of medicine. It is not only the other specialties, but the education itself constitutes a field, and they recognized it as a specialty soon after that conference, and they created medical education cells, made it compulsory for all medical colleges to have those cells and to work towards the reform. Unfortunately, after 2009, the internal security situation in Pakistan deteriorated a lot, and there was nobody among the foreign experts who would be willing to come to Pakistan in those circumstances. So we took this opportunity and we thought that it is a time to go out. Our plan was to hold this conference every 2 years, and we were sticking to that. So for the next conference, we selected an African country, which is Mauritius. So we had our second conference in Mauritius, which was very well attended by the international experts. There were about 25 medical experts from various countries of the world who participated in that conference. But since Mauritius is a small island
and there are only one medical college there. The impact of conference was not that much. We, the third conference and the fourth conference, I skipped one conference that was held in Abu Dhabi, and in which we had a very big support from the government of UAE as well as their health departments, and they not only financially but also supported the conference administratively. The Mauritius government, Higher Education Commission and their ministry and their president and prime minister, they also supported International Conference of Medical Education tremendously, and we are really thankful to them. When we were progressing, Turkey, government of Turkey showed some interest in this conference, and we negotiated with them, and the fourth conference was then held in Istanbul. Again, Ministry of Health of Turkey, as well as their Prime Minister and Foreign Minister, they supported the conference both financially and administratively. And actually that was the very big conference which was organized. The next conference we organized again was in UAE, and this time again we mustered the support from the government of UAE as well as the international experts. This was really a huge conference because we combined it with another very well-known international conference on educational assessment, and that is Ottawa Conference. So, since the situation in Pakistan improved, and we thought that now the circumstances are conducive to hold the conference here, we discussed it among our foreign partners, and quite a few of them showed their willingness to come to Pakistan. So we decided to have the conference in 2011, that is the 6th conference in the series in Pakistan. And we are going to inshallah have it from 19th to 22nd of the October in Park China Center, Islamabad. So this is the brief history about the conference.
And it's how it came into being.
How it came into being.
All right. Professor Raheela, can you shed some light? जैसे अभी Professor Masood Anwer साहब ने बताया कि ये इसकी history है and that's how it has been successful in various countries. What is the main objective and rationale of this conference?
Okay, the main objective and rationale of this to hold a conference in Pakistan is that we want to involve our people as well. As Sir told before that we have conducted this conference in Mauritius, Turkey and other countries of the world, but we want to conduct this conference in our country as well, so that our people, our colleges should know the issues and challenges which are occurring in health profession education. Our national challenges must come at the forum and people can understand that. And through this conference, the participants and the faculty members belongs to the health profession education, they'll understand the strategies to cope with the challenges, and we can generate the recommendations to the conference proceedings which can be helpful to the all of the faculty and the different institutions of Pakistan. This is the main objective of our conference holding in Pakistan. Yes.
All right. Professor Rehan, so ये बताइएगा कि who will benefit the most from this conference?
Osama, this conference has been designed in such a way that probably every health professional is going to benefit from it. And when I say health professionals, I mean medical doctors, physiotherapists, nurses, pharmacists, and every other academician who is involved in medical education. This would mean that deans, principals, vice principals, undergrad medical students, postgrad medical students, researchers, everybody has something in the conference from which they can update their knowledge regarding medical education, health professions, and obviously that would help in actually updating the system of medical education in Pakistan. So as a chairperson of the scientific committee as well, I can assure you that everyone should attend this conference, and they will have something for them in this conference.
अच्छा प्रोफेसर मसूद साहब ये बताइएगा कि who are the main keynote speakers this conference?
Yeah, actually, as I described earlier, we have this conference is actually not only a meeting or a conference in the sense which we take. It actually provides a platform, a credible platform where the medical students and faculty of the country where the conference is being held has an opportunity to interact with the experts in the field of medical education from all over the world. For this conference, from the very beginning, the AME, which is the Association for Medical Education in Europe, has been collaborating with us tremendously. Every conference which has been held so far has been supported by their experts and has been attended by them. So among our speakers, this time we have two of the speakers who come from the United Kingdom. One of them was the president, I will say, because just a week ago the president changed, president of AME, and that is Trudy Roberts. And one is the Secretary General of the AME, and that is Professor Ronald Harden. Ronald Harden is not a name which any person who is involved in medical education will not know. He is the most famous medical educationist in the world at the moment, and he has been the General Secretary of AME since long. Then Trudy Roberts is heading an institute of medical education in Leeds. She has been president of ME and she is expert in assessment area of the conference. We also have Brownell Anderson, who comes from the National Medical Examination Board of USA. She is expert in curriculum designing and she will be participating in the conference. Then we have an expert from Netherlands. His name is Ole ten Kate. He is also a sort of expert in assessment, but in clinical assessment. And he has devised new tools in that particular field. We also have Professor Hussam Hamdi from UAE. He is currently the Chancellor of Gulf University in UAE, and he has been working with us for quite some time. Then we have Professor Azim Mirzazadeh from Tehran University. He is also a medical educationalist and is a very enthusiastic young person who is trying, just like us, to promote medical education in the underdeveloped Muslim countries in this area. We also have Muhammad al-Iraqi. He is currently working in Kingdom of Saudi Arabia as Professor of Medical Education. And we have Professor Gohar Wajid, who has been working in many places. Currently, he is Technical Officer in Health Profession Education in WHO Egypt. We also have among these speakers from abroad Professor Sholeh Big Delhi. She is also Professor of Medical Education in Tehran University. In addition to that, we have almost about 20 national experts in medical education participating in the conference.
Alright, so these are all the big names of medical world who are involved in this conference which is being held in Pakistan this year. अच्छा Professor Rehan साहब ये बताइएगा कि how can you convey your conference key message to accreditation bodies?
Osama, this is a very important question. The reason being PMNDC, which is Pakistan Medical and Dental Council, is still in the process of being recognized by WFME, which is World Federation for Medical Education. After 2023, the accreditation bodies of the world who are not recognized by WFME will not be allowed to have their medical students appear in USMLE unless until their accreditation bodies are recognized by World Federation for Medical Education. So this conference actually brings an opportunity, as Professor Masood Anwer has explained to you, that many renowned experts are coming here, in which one of them is Professor Harden, who is an expert on curriculum and many other aspects of medical education. Then we have Brownell Anderson, who is an expert in accreditation process. So this conference would again raise the need of and the dire need of accreditation for our country. Just imagine if we fail to get ourselves recognized during the required time and our medical students stop going to USA for further education, the impact of it would be huge. So we're trying to tell the accreditation body and all other people who are involved in medical education that this should be taken very seriously. I mean, countries like Sudan, Egypt, they're already being recognized by WFME. So, we should not be left behind in this process. We should expedite that. We should get recognition as soon as possible. I know PMNDC is in process of doing this, but still I think we are a little behind as compared to our competitor countries.
What do you think might be the main reason for us lagging in this space?
One of the main reasons is that there has been, unfortunately, very inconsistencies in the accreditation body itself. I mean, the body has been dissolved twice in 2 years. So if we get a council which stays for at least 4 or 5 years, has the time to work, because I was in one of the councils as a extended member, a co-opted member, and we had in that process sent the application to WFME, but that process has still not materialized in terms of the WFME visiting us. I have heard that they were supposed to visit us, but due to all these things happening, that visit did not happen. So if the higher authorities can look into it and ensure that this process get materialized as soon as possible. Otherwise, you can imagine the impact of it.
It would be huge.
Yeah, it would be huge.
I would like to add to it. The unfortunate part of this is that in Pakistan, somehow or other, because of the economical reason, I think so, health profession has been neglected a lot. And we are now facing a number of health issues. You must be reading in newspapers, we have not been able to eradicate polio, which has actually put almost a restriction on international traveling for Pakistani population. We have been unable to get away from AIDS. It has again come up as an epidemic in Sindh, and maybe some other places as well it may come up. We are having problem with dengue fever, we are having problem with Congo fever, and so much so that we have now amoebic encephalitis in Karachi every year. So this profession has been neglected by the government, both in terms of making policies and in terms of taking it together as the basic need of the country. I think one must understand that a non-healthy population of a country cannot be contributing as much towards economic growth as the healthy population will do. If everybody is confronted with the problem of looking for a doctor almost every day, either for himself or for one member of his family, he is going to spend a lot of time on that. Unfortunately, health profession education forms the backbone of the health system.
Absolutely.
And that has been further neglected. Most of the time it has been politicized. I don't understand that why accreditation body of that magnitude, which caters for the net in the end for the better health of the country, is neglected so much. But this process is continuing. One of the objectives of International Conference of Medical Education has been to promote this. As Dr. Rehan has said, that we are now facing an embargo on our medical professionals who will qualify in 2023 to work in USA, to get further education in USA, or to practice in USA. They will not be able, because this was the last academic year in which, if we perform the accreditation process, complete the accreditation process with WFME, then the graduates from next year will be enlisted. Otherwise, from 23 onward, they will not be. Right. So that situation is pretty grave, and I wish that we realize it and we really give full attention to this, and we reform the medical council on professional level, not on the political basis, not on the expertise basis, but at really professional level, so that they can take this case forward and get the Pakistani institutions recognized by WFM.
Do you think the government is taking this issue now seriously? Because if you, as a layman, I must say that awareness of health issues is quite a lot in Pakistan, and every now and then you see that even the students who are going through a phase of HSSC, they have this point of view or the concept that they want to become a doctor. That means that they do have the awareness that health is a necessity, a backbone in a country's development. However, the government is not taking it that seriously. Do you think that are they taking it seriously now, or is it still going the same way?
You see, until 1996, there were about 13 medical colleges and dental colleges in Pakistan in public sector. And there were only 3 medical colleges in private sector. Today, the government has cut a short way and increased the seats in the existing medical colleges 3-4, 4-4, just to give opportunity to the students, and still they could not meet the requirement. With the result that there were too many private medical colleges came up in the field. And as a result, today we have in total of 156 medical and dental institutions in Pakistan, both in private and public sector, in which the public sector constitutes only 26. So we are facing the same problem which was being faced by US and North America 100 years ago. So we have to repeat all that process. The previous council, which has been dissolved yesterday because the ordinance expired, did take initiative. At least they came up with some standards which should be followed by all medical colleges. They also came up with a repeat inspection of all the medical institutions which they completed before they were dissolved. But I think the government has to take it very, very seriously. Education, particularly the health education, is not an issue which should be left to the whims and overnight thinking. It has to be talked about, it has to be discussed at appropriate expert forums, and it has to be implemented. That is the only way out.
All right. President Raheela, since we talked about what are the benefits of this conference, can you shed some light that how a developing country like Pakistan can reap the benefits of a conference such as this?
Yes, as Dr. Professor Masood and Dr. Rehan told about that, the bouquet of the consultant and the experts are coming from all around the world. And these people usually conduct their courses and workshop over there in their countries, for example, USA, UK, and other countries. So our faculty members, our health professional educationists, the people, they'll get benefit from their courses and workshop which they will conduct for our faculty. And moreover, the research paper and the posters conducted by the faculty member in this conference, through that we will benefit to generate some recommendations and strategies to cope with the challenges and the issues coming up in the health professional education. as we are discussing the health problems and other things like this.
All right. Professor Rehan, since we are talking about what ICME is, and since you guys are giving a brilliant explanation, and I'm pretty sure the viewers are getting to know what ICME is, can you kindly brief the outline of the program?
Sure. Before I tell you about the outline of the program, I just add few more aspect to what Professor Masood Anwer said about the interest of government in initiating medical education, and that I will also answer with respect to Riphah International University and ICME. As Professor Masood was giving you the history of ICME, that in the very first conference, it was the first time that the government and the PMNDC realized that we need to bring in reforms in medical education. And soon after that, Riphah was chosen as one of the universities, IIMC as a medical college, which should bring reforms in medical curriculum. So we actually are one of the flag bearers which brought in the integrated curriculum in Pakistan. And then we also a medical education department in Pakistan that contributed a lot to the development of standards in medical education. I and Professor Raheela were the co-opted members in the medical education unit of the last council, the one before this. And what we did was we had a debate on this, that we should not have a standard curriculum for all medical schools, but standards based on which the curriculum should be developed. So it shouldn't be a straitjacket approach. And you can see that these were the results of the subsequent ICMEs, which brought in an awareness among the medical fraternity and the experts that these are the changes which we need to bring. I mean, can you imagine that the last council, the one before this, had almost 4 PhDs and 8 MHPs, or Master in Health Professions, in that medical education unit. So, that was a big contribution. The good thing about the last council was that they adopted those standards and made a national framework, national recognition framework, which they had used to inspect the 168 medical and dental schools. So that was about that. Regarding this conference, it has a very rich program. The conference starts from 19th to 22nd, and the first 2 days are solely for courses and pre-conference workshops. There are almost 4 courses, very interesting courses. We have courses on research, leadership. We have course on developing an online module. So, not only medical graduates or people in medical fraternity, but engineering and other people can also attend this course. We call it as e-time, which is educational learning in medical education. And then we have 35 pre-conference workshops, so covering almost every aspect of medical education. Then the conference starts on 21st, and in the last 2 days we have 2 plenaries, which means the experts in medical education will give a 45-minute talk in each plenary. Then we have 5 symposia on very important hot topics in medical education. Things like ethics in medical education, student assessment, accreditation, interprofessional education, assessment. Then we have 5 sessions of what the expert says. So, the international experts and the national experts, both of them will be, giving their viewpoints on the recent innovation and trends in medical education. It does not finish there. We have, apart from that, oral research papers and poster presentation and conference workshops on top of it. So we have almost 160 research papers which will be presented in this conference, covering themes like curriculum development, student assessment, leadership, interprofessional education, and you name it. And then we have poster presentations, and then we have conference workshops as well. And so you can understand from this is a very rich program. Yeah.
Last question from Professor Masood Anwer sir. Briefly, kindly, can you explain that what were the challenges that you faced in planning such a conference in Pakistan?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, the first challenge was to convince the international experts that Pakistan is a place where you can come safely, stay safely, and get out safely. So that was the first challenge, and Alhamdulillah, we achieved that, and we overcame that challenge, and we persuaded them to participate in the conference. Then the conference of this magnitude costs a lot of money, and the money in conferences does not come from registration fee. Somehow or other, our population as a whole, as a national trait, we are very reluctant to pay for academic benefits. We only pay for something which we can wear or eat or something like this. So the funding was the most important issue, and unfortunately, because of the cuts in the budget, HEC also refused to fund, which was usually a very the total budget of the conference is about 1 crore 60 lakh, 1 crore 80 lakh rupees, of which we had requested HEC only to contribute 8 lakh rupees. But due to their funding problems also, they are facing the same problems which we are facing. So now we are funding it from completely the university resources and some private resources. So that was the second big issue. But thanks to our superiors, Chancellor and Vice Chancellor, they were convinced that this is the need of the time and we should spend money on this, and they kept the substantial amount in annual budget of Riphah for that budget. The third are organizational problems. It so happens that we have reformed our visa application system. Now it is online, and almost every individual who applied for online visa had been having initially problem with filing the application and then getting the appropriate responses. We have worked with Ministry of Interior, and I am very grateful to some of our friends who are part of Ministry of Interior and outside Ministry of Interior. We helped us a lot in obtaining, but it took us about 4 months to get no objection certificate for our speakers. Then there will be small problems here and there, like the Pak China Center itself. It is a very beautifully designed, very purpose-built facility, but unfortunately, because of the general laziness, the maintenance is very, very poor. So we are looking towards that problem also, and it was very easy to conduct conferences in Mauritius, in Istanbul, in UAE.
All right.
And for the first time in Pakistan as well. We find it, after 10 years, we are finding it much more difficult to host this conference. But inshallah we will succeed.
All right, inshallah we will succeed. नाज़रीन, मैं उम्मीद करता हूँ कि हमारा जो आज का शो ICME की इंट्रोडक्टरी प्रोग्राम था, उसकी जितनी भी आपके नज़दीक जो क्वेरीज थी, और हम ये क्लियर कर सके कि इसके ऑब्जेक्टिव्स क्या हैं, इसकी सिग्निफिकेंस क्या है, इसके फैक्ट्स एंड फिगर्स, इसकी हिस्ट्री क्या है और ये कितनी सक्सेसफुल है. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर ज्वाइनिंग अस. नाज़रीन, प्रोग्राम का वक्त यहाँ पर ख़त्म होता है. अपने मेज़बान उसामा कादिर खान को इजाज़त दीजिए. अस्सलामु अलैकुम व रहमतुल्लाह.